Hi all, I thought I'd do a quick video of this sieve, rotary sieve that I've made, which utilises a concrete mixer or cement mixer as a power source. Essentially it's made from a 45-gallon drum, a bit of mesh, a few turnbuckles, some lashing eyes and a cement mixer. That's all you need, very low cost, in total it's probably cost me about £30 to £40 UK. And then bits of wood on the far right hand side are sort of optional, but it depends on your particular concrete mixer in terms of what you need to balance the mixer and get the alignment right. Obviously you need a concrete mixer as well, which is probably the biggest expense. This was one I picked up second hand off eBay for about £100, so really low cost. But the concrete mixer was actually bought for a different project, so really it hasn't cost me anything as part of this project. It's just like an add-on. So essentially what I've done is I've cut 18 sort of holes around the drum, left these strong ribs intact, divided the drum up into 6, and then cut out basically a square aperture on each one. I used a hole saw to cut the corners to start with, and then basically cut the straights out with an angle grinder with a really thin disc. Whipped all the way around all the sharp edges with a flat disc to smooth them off, and then the same, cut the top out of the drum. Could have done the top or the bottom. The bottom didn't have obviously the fill-in cap on, so I chose to cut the top out. It's been mounted onto the concrete mixer by basically fixing 6 wooden blocks in place, so you can see kind of all those screws on that side. Behind each one of those is a wooden block, and they've just been adjusted so that they fit just to the internal diameter of the concrete mixer drum opening. And then basically I've drilled 6 holes corresponding with those blocks in the drum of the cement mixer and in the barrel, and then to each one I've attached one of these lashing rings, and then sort of joined the drum onto the drum, so they all drum onto the cement mixer drum with a turnbuckle. Lots of people have said, oh, don't want to damage my drum by drilling holes in it on other videos, but you're going to put a screw and a nut back in there and that's just going to stay on there permanently, so it's no detriment really to the mixer drum. If you want to mix concrete in it, it'll still be watertight on the inside. Once that was all done and assembled, then I've just got some wire mesh, which has got a 1/2 inch or 13mm aperture, I think. It's a little bit, it could be slightly finer. I might make another insert to do a finer grade sieve, which I can kind of just slot inside here. But essentially that was just cut to the right size, and then there's a seam somewhere basically up here. I probably can't see that. I'll show you from the outside. Basically the 2 bits of mesh join on this seam, just put it at the same place as the seam on the drum, and then I've just literally tied them on with a bunch of tie wraps. Tied it on around the front with the tie wraps as well, just to prevent it from getting caught. But it just happened to be a really snug fit, sort of just sits behind this rim, so that's ideal. And the compost that it makes, or sort of grades, my compost from my compost bins is really quite lumpy to start with, but you can see the sort of the material once it's finished. It's really sort of like quite fine, much smaller than what you can imagine could fall through the aperture. I think the bigger bits tend to roll round even if they can fall through, particularly to start with. So you kind of get, I've got 2 wheelbarrows to collect it because of the length of the drum, and the stuff in this first one ends up being quite a bit finer than this second one. But still, these aren't really too bigger pieces that are left, little bits of twig, little bits of bark, but it's quite well composted down stuff anyway. And the material that's left is just essentially rolls out the end, and even some of this, it could do with almost drying out, sort of just breaking a little bit and going back through, because some of it is the fact that it's in big clods that it doesn't go through, but it's not a problem. I can always just throw that back in the compost bins with the next load for a little bit more composting and to break down some more. and that's it. I'll just start it up and do a quick video of it running and show you some material going through it. I've just got the engine running on tick over, not very fast at all, and we'll just see how it goes. So, thanks very much for watching, and if you like this video, drop us a message in the comments if you want to know anything more. I'll try and help you out.